There is a serious education crisis in Papua New Guinea today, which is preventing many students from obtaining basic education. Although the expectations from parents, communities, and the country are high, the lack of education is often making it difficult for students to become productive and useful members of our society.
I leave school because I failed in one subject.
I would like to go back to school, but it's not possible for me to go.
Some of the materials were so hard for me to do.
I went through all the schools for space, but they couldn't allow me.
If they select me to high school, I will become a leader or a doctor, and I'll help my people.
I believe and maintain that the state of education in Papua New Guinea is an emergency, because if the child does not go to school, how can we expect him or her to make a contribution in this changing world?
Right. There are two basic reasons why there is high dropout in rural areas. First one is the distance that the young children have to walk from the home to the school. And the second reason is this, the curriculum requirement for English to be taught in schools, and particularly when teachers, whilst they are allowed to use vernacular language, they do not have the language of the local children. And in the urban areas, the biggest problem that I see for high dropout is because of the population expansion, which outweighs the expansion of school facilities.
Number like it starts with 0. But
the effects of the education problems in Papua New Guinea are shown by several indicators. The low rate of enrollment is the first. Out of 100 children, 25 do not start school at all. The second indicator, and perhaps the most significant one, is the dropout rate. Statistics show that 47% of students who enter grade 1 don't make it to grade 6. Considering the entire number of potential students, including those that did not enroll, only 1/3 of our children completes grade 6, and only 15 out of 100 children have a chance to go to grade 7. To make matters worse, in some areas, half of the total number of girls do not even enroll.
Girls' education has a double role, and it is our duty to move away from our traditional beliefs and give the chance to the girls to go to school, because through the girls' education will come a better nation.
Other contributing factors to the education problem are the primary school curriculum, which is not always relevant, and the teaching methods.
At the moment, when we teach, it's the teacher standing in front and talking. The children sitting on the desks and working. I think that should be changed a little bit. Maybe train the teachers to get more closely to the children.
There is a need to impart practical knowledge that can be realistically used for the benefit of individuals and communities, while keeping employment expectations in line with the country's capabilities.
it is important that we have that curriculum relevance to the living in our country. In the past, the curriculum was developed for employment in the government sector. Nowadays, that's not the case. So we have to have the curriculum to prepare people for community living.
The first 3 years of schooling have been recognized as critical years, giving the child the basic skills to continue studying throughout the entire primary education period. The elementary school reform is an effort to strengthen and decentralize these first 3 critical years and put them under the responsibility and the management of the communities. The main features of the elementary reform are: the school is based in the community. The community participates in setting up the schools. The teaching is in the local language. The teacher is selected from the community. The curriculum is relevant to the local culture. And the teacher training is shorter and more relevant.
Well, the elementary school reform system is a good idea because the children are in the village and they are learning in a classroom with a village environment. And so when they come into the next stage, they are more settled and they have now the skills to move into the English language.
These are children still living in a community. And the support from the community is that they have got a part to play. They are the first teacher in a community. They educate their children about the cultural values, about the normal standard of living in a community.
Now they will have a feeling of my community, my school, rather than it's the teacher or the board of management or the government or the agency.
The committee asked me to teach, so I just volunteered to teach in the preschool, and now I am teaching.
Many people to date have viewed the reform as an expansion of access to high school. The major objective of the reform is to expand that access to high school, but it can only be done in a cost-effective way if we begin at the bottom. And the foundation of the new elementary reform structure is the new elementary school. Now, by taking grades 1 and 2 out of the existing community schools, we make the teachers and the classrooms available for the expansion of grades 7 and 8. Whereas it's very hard for a community to find the money to build expensive new classrooms at the grade 7 and 8 level, it is possible to ask a community to build classrooms at the elementary school using the local materials and the local labor.
One of the elements of the reform is to add a new preparatory year and move the first 2 grades out of the current community schools and into new village-based elementary schools. When grade 1 moves to the village-based school, a classroom is freed and it will be used for grade 7. The community school is now called primary school and the village-based school is called the elementary school. A year later, grade 2 will move to the elementary school and the classroom reallocated to grade 8. Now children can study near their homes for the first 3 years in their own language and then qualify for grade 3 at the primary school.
Another key element in the implementation of the reform will be the training of the new elementary teachers. We plan to train up to 15,000 elementary teachers over the next 10 years. Many of these will be village women. These people will be identified by their community. There are people who are living in those communities and who have an in-depth knowledge of the local language and culture essential to the new reform.
The development of a new, more relevant curriculum will enable teachers and students to work closely together to reach their education goals. Education for all children to grade 8 by the year 2004 is the ultimate aim of the reform. Since communities will be managing the elementary schools, they will be involved in the learning process and in the development of the curriculum from the very beginning. Students will be given the knowledge and the preparation to fully integrate in our urban or rural environments while respecting and understanding their local traditions and values. With UNICEF support, the Department of Education introduced the elementary reform in the provinces of Milne Bay and New Ireland. Based on the success and lessons learned, the government is now committed to expand the elementary reform to the rest of the country as the highest priority in the education sector.
The government has that will. Through the National Executive Council, it gave the approval. What we need now are the resources to make it possible for those children to enter school.
Such an undertaking will still require substantial assistance from all sources. Government at central and provincial level, communities and donors are called upon to help make the reform a success and reduce the number of children going through life without education. The later the implementation of the reform, the harder will be its success. Amidst prospects for growth and development, Papua New Guinea can no longer afford leaving her children out of school. Ensuring an education opportunity for everyone to become a responsible and productive member of the society is a right of every child we all should be committed to.